You ever wake up thinking it's just going to be another quiet morning? Then bam, three guys in cheap police costumes are screaming at you, guns out, threatening to cuff you on your own property. Yeah, that happened. Stop, or we'll cuff you right now. That's what I heard echoing across my lake at sunrise, right when I was about to start my jog. They looked like a bargain bin SWAT team, plastic badges, catching the sun, hands trembling on their pistols, but their attitude, that was dead serious. And let me tell you, nothing kicks your day off like the realization that someone's about to play dirty in your backyard. Let me back up a sec. 5:00 a.m. Radio alarm buzzing away, but I was already up habit of 20 years hunting fugitives and serving warrants. Retirement hadn't dulled that edge. I'd earned these 40 acres in the Texas Hill Country, and that private lake out front was my trophy. Coffee, black as sin, always came first. Then the ritual check, the radio backup comms in the pocket, quick scan off the porch. Old habits, you know, most folks would say paranoid, I just called it prudent. That's when I saw the first sign something was off. Not a bird in the sky, just this weird hush and a glint of sunlight hitting metal beyond the fence. Black SUV windows tinted darker than my patience. Parked facing my house, bold as brass. You'd think someone watching a federal agent's property would at least try to be sneaky. I couldn't decide if it was amateurs or they just wanted me to know they were there. I was stretching, keeping them in the corner of my eye when I heard her, Connor, wait. That was Mrs. Whitmore power walking faster than I'd ever seen steam rising off her coffee mug like she was prepping for battle. At 65, she knew everything that went on for 3 miles, and her updates were usually more useful than anything I ever heard on a federal channel. Connor, thank God you're awake, she hissed, eyes darting behind me. Some men came by yesterday. Badges, uniforms, asking all kinds of questions about you and your lake. Said they were from some new HOA enforcement thing, but Connor, something wasn't right. She described them too many questions, too many pictures, and this vibe like one of those true crime shows right before things go sideways. Well, that was all it took. When strangers start asking about your schedule, your security, your living situation, that's not curiosity. That's preparation. Did they leave paperwork, I asked, keeping it casual but running the risk scenarios in my head. Said they'd be back with permits, something about a final chance to comply with City Water Regulation 47B before municipal enforcement procedures. That phrase, municipal enforcement procedures, set off every alarm bell I had left in my head. It was the kind of language crooks use when they want to sound official. I told her to lock up. Don't talk to anyone she didn't know, call the sheriff if they came sniffing around again. And then she dropped the real bomb, Connor, they knew you used to work for the federal government. That's not something I ever told them. Someone was getting serious. They'd done their homework, just not quite enough. They thought I'd be easy. As she hurried back, glancing over her shoulder, I felt that old itch between my shoulder blades, the sense that the job's not over even when you're off the clock. By 7:15, the black SUV rolled up through my gate, 2 more right behind it. I watched from the kitchen, coffee in hand, memorizing every plate, every detail, old habit. 3 Suburbans, all the same rental fleet tags, no government plates, no subtlety. The first dumped out 3 men in police uniforms. If you'd never seen a real cop before, you might be fooled. Cheap fabric, shiny badges, Metro Police HOA division patches. I actually laughed until I saw their faces. The leader, tall built like he lived at the gym, early 40s, came strutting up like he was starring in a TV show. The others looked like they'd rather be anywhere else. Sir, I'm Officer Dalton, Metro Police HOA division, he barked, waving a fake badge. We've received complaints about unauthorized water use on this property. I'll need to see your lake permits. I met him on the porch, keeping it calm. Officer Dalton, this is private property. Been so for 10 years. No HOA jurisdiction. Never heard of a water permit for a private lake. He didn't like that his jaw clenched and his buddies shuffled like nervous kids on the first day of school. County Ordinance 47B requires all private water sources to be registered. Blah, 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 rehearsed as hell. The short guy's hands were shaking so bad he could barely hold his clipboard. I asked for the ordinance in writing and told him I'd need to verify credentials before any inspection. That's when Dalton's smile dropped. Sir, we don't need your permission to enforce county regulations. Cooperate now or we proceed with enforcement action. His hand went for his radio, or what he thought was a radio. He stepped away and called someone Miranda. Not a cop, not a county official, just Miranda. He came back all business. You have 10 minutes to cease all unauthorized water usage and provide proper documentation, or we'll be forced to proceed. The short guy piped up. Mr. Blackwood, your records show unauthorized recreational use. First-time fine is $1,500. Continued non-compliance could mean property seizure. Oh, so that's the play. I took a long look at them, especially the heavy-set guy who looked ready to run. Dalton was the only one who didn't look scared, probably because he was getting a big payday for pulling this off. 10 minutes, he said again. He meant it, but he didn't realize the clock was ticking for him, not me. I went inside, changed into my running gear, moisture-wicking shirt, shorts, shoes that had logged more miles than their SUV, clipped my radio back on and walked outside like nothing was wrong. Dalton started pacing. Gentlemen, I'm going for my usual run. I called stretching, making a show of it. When I get back, we can talk about your permits. That set Dalton off. Sir, you're not authorized to use that water source. I'm ordering you to remain on this porch. I shrugged him off. Unless you show me real documentation, I'll treat this as a civil matter between neighbors. That's when Dalton snapped. The mask dropped, his voice shot up an octave. Sir, you are under arrest for violation of county water ordinances and obstruction of an official investigation. And just like that, I was jogging down my own trail, 3 wannabe cops on my heels. Halfway around the lake, Dalton lost it. Stop! He yelled, and I heard the unmistakable sound of a gun clearing leather. I stopped, turned, and saw 3 barrels pointed at me, but Dalton's hand was shaking like he'd just chugged 6 espressos. The others were just as bad, scared of the weapons in their hands, terrified of what came next. I raised my hands, kept my voice calm. Gentlemen, you're making a very serious mistake. But Dalton was beyond reason. Last chance, he screamed. Get on the ground or I'll put you on the ground. That did it. He stepped closer now, within arm's reach, close enough for his bravado to become his undoing. 20 years of training kicked in. I moved, dropped low, closed the distance, grabbed his wrist as he fired. The shot went wild. My elbow found his gut. The gun hit the dirt, and in 2 seconds flat, Dalton was zip-tied and gasping for air. Drop your weapons, I yelled. The short guy tossed his like it was a hot potato. Heavyset dropped his a second later. I checked Dalton's gun, cheap plastic. Same with the others. Props. It all clicked. You threatened a federal agent with toys. I said, pulling my badge, real steel, real weight, United States Marshal Service. Their faces went sheet white. Miranda said you were just a paper pusher, Dalton choked out. She said you'd fold. Wrong answer, Dalton. The sound of approaching engines told me the sheriff was on the way. Neighbors had been watching and recording everything. And here comes Miranda herself, rolling up in a white Lexus, dressed for a board meeting, not a standoff. She strode over, trying to talk her way out. This is all a misunderstanding. These men are private security, not police officers. But Dalton was done covering. Miranda, you told us he was nobody. You said wave the badge he'd fold. You didn't say he was federal. The deputies arrived, checked my badge, and the unraveling began. Turns out Miranda had used this scam on 6 other properties. Fake officers, fake paperwork, scare tactics. Some folks just handed over their land too scared or too tired to fight. She called it market research. I called it organized crime. They cuffed Miranda right there, read her rights. And as she was led away, she tried to bribe the deputies like that was going to work. The charges stacked up: impersonating officers, conspiracy, fraud, extortion, forging government documents. The local news went nuts. National news picked it up, too, turned Miranda Ashford into a poster child for HOA corruption. 3 months later, she got 3 years in federal prison. The security team got lighter sentences for cooperating, but none of them will ever wear a uniform again, real or fake. The best part, every victim got their land back. restitution justice, and a little bit of faith restored in the system. Now, some mornings, Mrs. Whitmore calls out from her porch, "No fake police lurking today." Connor, I just laugh and wave, thankful the only drama is the sunrise and the coffee brewing strong. If there's one thing I learned through all this, it's that you can never let your guard down. Not even in paradise. Symbols of authority only work if you don't question them. And the folks most obsessed with power, 9 times out of 10, they're just hiding weakness behind a cheap badge. Real authority. You can feel it, you can see it, you don't have to fake it. So tell me, where's the line between enforcing order and abusing power? When does protecting a community cross into preying on the weak? And if someone tried this on your land, would you have stood your ground or handed over the keys? Drop your story below. I want to hear if you've ever tangled with fake authority or if you've seen justice done the right way. And if you think justice was served here, or maybe not enough, let's talk about it. This is your story too.